President, on September 30th, the Children's Health Insurance Program expired. It has now been 25 days that the United States Congress has put our children's health and well-being on the back burner. My colleagues and I don't think that children's health belongs on the back burner. So we've come down to the floor of the Senate today to spend the afternoon speaking up for kids. So thank you to everyone who joins me today to say that we shouldn't wait any longer to make sure that children, community health centers, and new mothers have access to the healthcare programs that they need. Republicans control Congress. It is up to them what we vote on and when we do it. So what was more important to the Republican leadership than the health of little kids? Well, Republican leaders blew through the days before the children's health care deadline by trying to repeal health care for millions of Americans. And then, once the Children's Health Insurance Program had already expired, Republican leaders burned through more time by holding a series of votes on a budget with giant tax cuts for billionaires and giant corporations that would also gut Medicare, Medicaid, and a bunch of programs that would help working families. Republicans jammed through their terrible budget without a single Democratic vote last week, 19 days after blowing past the deadline to fund health care for kids. And last night, it was 24 days past the deadline to make sure that kids had health care coverage. And what were the Republican leaders doing? Republican leaders stayed up late into the night, holding a vote to make it easier for financial institutions to cheat people. And the days continue to tick by. 24, 25. Tomorrow, members of Congress will leave for the weekend, 26 days past the deadline, and still no vote to fund this critical program. Senator Ted Kennedy and Senator Orrin Hatch, a Democrat and a Republican, wrote this legislation together back in the late 1990s. The Children's Health Insurance Program, also called CHIP, provides health insurance to low-income children and to pregnant women. Senator Kennedy and Senator Hatch created this program because they knew that providing health care coverage for children helped make them healthier as children and healthier even after they grew up. They knew that some children were slipping through the cracks, and this was their solution. The children covered by CHIP didn't qualify for Medicaid, they weren't covered by employers, and they couldn't afford to buy private insurance. In 1997, 15% of all the children in this country lacked any form of health insurance coverage. Today, because of the CHIP program and the Affordable Care Act, that number has shrunk to 5% of children. CHIP works with Medicaid to provide health insurance for 1 out of every 3 kids in this country. States choose whether or not they want a CHIP program, and here's the deal. Every single state has chosen one because every single state recognizes the value of providing their children with health care coverage. In Massachusetts, the percentage of children with health care coverage is even higher than the national average. It's at 99%. We're doing something right here. The original program was set for 10 years, and since then, every few years, Congress has had to act to reauthorize the program so that children can continue to get health care coverage. The CHIP program has been reauthorized 4 times since 1997, and not one of those times has Congress missed the deadline. Not one until now. In fact, in past years, Congress has made sure to reauthorize the program many months ahead of time in order to give states the time they would need to plan their budgets. Sounds like a pretty sensible thing to do, but not this year. We're 25 days past the deadline for reauthorizing CHIP. 25 days and counting. This isn't fair to states or to kids or to their families. So what actually happens now? Well, the money runs out. 11 states are set to run out of their CHIP funding by the end of 2017. The others, soon after. Our Republican governor in Massachusetts sent me a letter on day 3 past the CHIP deadline. And he wrote, quote, "Parents are already afraid that their children's insurance may be lost in the near future. With each passing week, their fears continue to grow." My governor's right. States have to start making tough decisions. They may have to freeze enrollment, turning away sick little kids who qualify for coverage but don't make it in the door on time. They could just start kicking kids out of their insurance, saying, "Sorry, we just can't help anymore." Or Or they could be forced to make some tough calls on benefits. We can't cover the wheelchair you need to get around. No physical therapy or no prenatal care until the funding comes through again. That is just flat out immoral. Tax cuts for billionaires shouldn't come before making sure that a sick kid gets the help he or she needs. Mothers are lying awake at night. Fathers are tossing and turning, worrying about their health care coverage. And what is the Republican leadership doing? Tomorrow, they will be heading home for the weekend without lifting a finger to fund a bipartisan program that has been reauthorized 4 times over the past 20 years. And if that isn't bad enough, September 30th wasn't just the deadline for Congress to reauthorize CHIP. We also blew past the deadlines on several other health care programs to help children, to help pregnant women, to help older Americans, and to help the chronically ill. We blew past the deadline to reauthorize the Community Health Center Fund and the National Health Service Corps, which fund health centers and support healthcare workers that provide children with high-quality primary care. We blew past the deadline to reauthorize the Maternal, Infant, and Early Childhood Home Visiting Program, which funds home visits to new and expectant parents to give them help keeping a new baby healthy and safe. And we blew past the deadline to reauthorize the Special Diabetes Program, which funds diabetes research that could offer hope to many children living with diabetes. When a kid is sick, moms and dads move heaven and earth to get them the care they need. They don't wait 25 days to go to the doctor and check to see if something is wrong. They stay up all night to make sure their little ones are all right. They wait outside the hospital room, pacing until they get an answer. But Republican leaders in Congress, they just don't seem to care. They don't seem to care if these families have the health insurance coverage they need so that they can get an x-ray or pay for an antibiotic or run some tests. 25 days, 26 days, 27 days. It just doesn't seem to matter to Republican leaders, but it sure matters to moms and dads and kids in Massachusetts and all over this country. Senator Kennedy used to say, "The test of greatness for a nation is how it cares for its children." Right now, Republican leaders in Congress are failing that test. My colleagues have come to the floor today to say that time is up. We are here to fight for kids.